So, hello and welcome to StarCraft 2. I'm your host, Saint Apoc, and we're going to be taking a look at a couple of games here. Starting here in the bottom right is me, Saint Apoc, as the Terran player, going to build my first supply depot. This is the Zerg player in the top left, free money, building 2 extractors, canceling them for those extra drones. I'm not familiar with Zerg strategy, but I assume that helps them boost their economy just a hair. Going for that standard wall off here. So as soon as that's done, build the barracks and then a refinery. Okay. Sending out his, or just built an overlord and sending this one out to scout. Yeah, not really familiar with Zerg strategy. Oh, it looks like he does end up building an extractor anyway, so I guess you can leave me a comment on how much of a benefit squeezing out those first 2 drones is by canceling extractors. Oh look, fast expand. Okay, expansion at 1 minute and 18 seconds. I'm obviously not doing that, but as soon as this finishes, gonna grab me an orbital command and a single marine. You can see in the production tab here. So for the Zerg player, not much else going on. Looks like we've got more drones. Oh, and Zergling on the way. Yeah, so a couple of Zerglings. 2 minutes into the game. Let's see, building that factory as soon as there's enough gas for it, which is why we saturate the refinery as soon as it's done, having built it at the same time as the barracks. Giving us a scan with my orbital. I know traditionally, I know typically you would use your mules to boost your economy, but you know, that's not really what I'm worried about in particular. So gonna build our first expansion, or well, first command center that will eventually become the expansion and a refinery. Got that tech lab going so that we can swap it out. Misclick there, and then there we go, dropping it down. And we're gonna get our siege tank as soon as possible. It's got those Zerglings coming out. Queen, good. Second queen going out to his expand. And he's got a nice small little army of Zerglings over here, which is ever increasing. So it looks like he's preparing for some sort of rush, maybe? I mean, at 3 minutes in, not likely to be successful. Because, as we all know, 1 Marine can take on, oh, and a siege tank, never mind. I was gonna say 1 Marine can take on the universe, but got a siege tank, so. And he is in fact sending them out to deal with me, which for any normal player who has not walled off, as a Terran, or, you know, even as a Protoss, this would be probably game over for a lot of people. So we can definitely, look, he's scouting that first and immediately leaves. So he does have the speed upgrade on these guys, it looks like, because they got those wings. Getting out my second siege tank, working on going out to expand first to the left. You know, that's not a typical response, but I did think that there was a possibility that Zerglings were still here. They didn't want to waste my time, so I immediately put it over here, building another command center. And will be continuing to pump out my last 2 siege tanks, starting up production on more supply depots and an armory to build Thors. And our opposing player is building his second extractor, which he immediately saturates. Baneling nest coming up. And he's saving his Zerglings back here. So I was not aware that he ended up leaving his Zerglings until I think a little bit later in the game. Planetary Fortress, just in case, because he's still got Zerglings and he might be willing to use them. So instead of an Orbital Command, I do in fact go for the Planetary Fortress, which I mean in the grand scheme of things, probably not the best idea. First 3 should definitely be orbitals, so that we can drop the Mule Hammer. And then the other thing is I should be constantly building out of this, and I am not. I need a second factory, which I do not have. But in particular, the reason behind this is because I'm intending on... Oh, there we go. Planetary Fortress saving the day. And I'm intending on going for battle cruisers. But, instead of going for a Thor immediately, I could have gotten Hellions. In fact, I could have gotten Hellions before the siege tanks so that I can, defend things like this and have that orbital command. But I find that siege tanks offer a little bit more static defenses. They're a little bit easier to just, plop and forget. And then the other thing is, I already forgot what the other thing is, but anyway, siege tanks to defend with, and for me, Hellions, I'm not really good with microing Hellions. I can use them as Hellbats, in conjunction with Thors, because that's the vibe build, but that's not my intention. Anyway, trying to build up 2 bases at once over here. To really get my economy going and not have to transfer SCVs so much. Building my tech lab on my starport, and then a second tech lab that'll eventually be replaced with another starport instead of the barracks. Building a second armory, and of course the fusion core. 7 minutes into the game, I should have scanned at least a second time by now. So this is my fault. I also do not have any turrets yet. Well, I do over here to defend against possibility of mutas. Let's see what our friendly enemy is doing here. Building an infestation pit and an evolution chamber. So Andy's got a spire with air weapons on the way, so he does intend on building at least mutas or corruptors here. Got his 3rd base going down and is doing some pretty decent creep spread throughout the northwestern portion of the map. So he's working on 3 bases, getting his 4th now, so 4 bases. I'm only working on 3, but if you look at the worker count, I am ahead by 16 workers, and I'm using them to consistently build off orbital commands. I've saturated my bases over here. A little heavy on this one. I don't know when I deal with that. But anyway, going for the retrofit and of course the weapon and ship upgrades. Building our first battle cruisers here at 8 minutes into the game. Partner has not scouted me. He is really good at, it looks like, switching between camera views and throwing in those injects for the larva. Still building Zerglings, which, as we all know, Zerglings cannot shoot upwards. He does also have Banelings here. So let's see, what does he end up doing with that? So he's moving his Overlord back because he doesn't want to get it shot down with it. And then is clicking up the ramp. And now he does see that I'm in fact going for battle cruisers, and I have 3 starports, and he immediately responds by morphing a greater spire. What have we got? And spore crawlers. He's responding with spore crawlers, which makes sense that you would want to. However, I'm pretty much a go big or go home person, so he's not going to be dealing with 1 or 2 battle cruisers when I come into his base. It looks like he did end up losing the Overlord that was over here. Yes, 4th starport on the way. I got plenty of gas right now to uphold this economy, or uphold the battlecruiser production I've got going. And I'm of course mule hammering and starting more SCV production on this 4th base here. So even though we're both operating on 4 bases, I am ahead significantly in income. 4 times it looks like at this point, 3 or 4 times, and then slightly better in what was that, 60% better or 30%? Anyway, doing slightly better in gas. Army could be a little bit better. I should be building, Thors at the same time as this. I've only got 1, it looks like. Yeah. Our friend is still trying to get through rocks. He's not a big fan of rocks, it looks like, so he's hitting these. He's got, it looks like, only 5 corruptors to deal with that battlecruiser army, which, judging by how many battlecruisers I have here, is not going to be enough. He is building more roaches, however. I'm not really sure what that's about. Maybe he expects to just break through the front wall. He has not scouted my 4th base. He does know about at least 2 of them. And he's spreading creep like a boss. He's spreading creep like a boss here. He's got a pretty decent army, against ground. But again, it's not going to be a sufficient response to battlecruisers. He really should have some hydralisks in this army somewhere, which I don't even see a hydralisk den anywhere. Yeah, no hydra den. So, yeah, no hydras and definitely not enough corruptors. He is, however, getting air weapons and air armor. But I'm also doing that on my 3rd upgrade now for that. So, yeah, pretty standard. Pretty standard battlecruiser production here. Got 5 starports, another command center on the way. Should be constantly building up command centers and supply depots. I am supply blocked at this point. Oh, sorry, no, I'm not. He is. I'm not supply blocked. I'm nearly at max, which is good incentive to. Yep, there we go. Scanning his bases. I don't see what he's got going on over here, but I guess I don't really care about that much. Yep, going to drop down my 5th base over here, which I have already gotten the gases for. And he's kind of just sitting. He's now almost exactly the same supply that I've got. He is, however, 30 workers behind. And let's see, the army value that I have is significantly higher in gas. Killing more rocks. Maybe if you're a Zerg player, you can tell me why it's important to kill all the rocks on the map. Now that I'm at max supply, I am going to want to be able to replenish my battlecruisers pretty quickly, so I am building 4 more starports.
Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted.
I do have at least a single turret here to defend with. Oh, yep, there are turrets over here, and I'm intending on building planetary fortresses with these. Oh, his army is way up here. He moved his army to the north. And he does have, actually a little bit more corruptors here. Not terrible. But, otherwise, some improvements I could have made to this game include more scouting. to figure out where his army is and what he's doing. I am taking advantage of the fact that he's not scouting me. Best I can tell, he has no idea that, you know, what kind of forces I've got.
Upgrade complete.
And with all this money in the bank, I'm just, you know, building up my base because, you know, why not? And usually I like to wait for them to attack just like that. Oh, there's the Vanlings. That planetary will go down. But yeah, usually I like to wait for them to attack, then I counter their attack, and after I've hit most of their army, I like to jump to their base. You see some serious... Yeah, let's just take another look at that for 1 second. Go back. I would like to capture that. Actually, if I could toggle everyone. Oh, whoops! I had health bars on. I did not want health bars on. We'll just do it one more time. No, that was way too far back. So what was it? 1540, right? Isn't that just so beautiful? Yamatoing every single one of them. They leave, and then I jump into the back to hit whatever tech I can. He's got a lot of corruptors coming in over here to deal with these battle cruisers, but it's just not enough. Even with 3-3 upgrades. Oh, no, he does only have, it looks like, 2 for weapons in the air. And that's the game. So let's go back to the score screen. Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right, because the game's over. Anyway, so we'll then take a look at this game here, which is a Protoss game, Terran versus Protoss, and we'll see, you know, how lazy I was in this game, or you know, etc. But anyway, I'm going to be spawning here in the top left, and then in the bottom right is the Protoss player, moving his camera around immediately, using his rally point outwards. So let's see, what does he do with that? Oh, nothing. Okay. Oh, yeah, builds a pylon. Okay, great. So I'm wondering what is, if you're a Protoss player, maybe you can tell me what the point of building a pylon here is to start off. And you know, is it worth the however many minerals it took to travel that distance instead of building it here or here? So we got a gateway coming on. Nothing really crazy about that. Of course, the standard opener, supply depot, barracks, refinery, or yes, refinery, and then supply depot to wall off, and yeah, constantly building SCVs until this is complete. And a little bit of misclicking here, oversaturated, so that's going to delay by like a hair. He's got nothing really else going on. You know, I've always wondered, is it really worth it to leave your probe just sitting there to do all of your building, or should you be constantly returning back and forth to your minerals? I mean, this is quite a far distance to travel. Okay, so I see what he's done here. He has basically made it a little bit of a choke point here. He's made a choke point for me to get into his base, so he can block this, I guess, relatively easy with some units. If I had Hellions, I think I'd still be able to fly right through this, but oh, yep, there he is. He's blocking it with a zealot. So this is a pretty cool wall off I've never seen. I wonder if I can do the same thing on the Terran side. but I don't know if how that would stand up against the Zerg player, or even against a Protoss player. But he is getting a fast expand here within 2 minutes of the game. I, of course, have not done that, but I am trying to build up my siege tanks pretty quickly. I do have a Marine around here somewhere. Oh, there he is. And, yeah, gonna drop that factory right down and start building siege tanks as soon as possible. Which, I don't know why, but sometimes I accidentally misclick and hit the Widowmine key. I do not use grid style, but, you know, I guess that's okay. Building a forge here, and another gateway. So I'm feeling like maybe he's gonna be gateway heavy. I mean, he does have both of his gases already saturated. Well, I guess I do too. Getting an armory so that we can start working on Thor's as soon as this is done. And he did try to get through, but it was a failed attempt from his adept. So he's gonna sit there and wait. So, I don't, did I ever? Yes, I did scan. Okay. So I did scan him, but I didn't really know what to do with that information. I saw 2 gases and I assumed that he was teching up. So I didn't bother to, really bother to respond to that effectively. I don't know if I even kept it in my mind the whole time. But anyway, he's got himself a couple of adepts and a zealot, or some zealots. So it does look like he's at least amassing some units. I mean, at this point, he's got a much greater, or twice the army value that I do. Granted, these siege tanks are more effective at dishing out damage, but why do I only have 1? I should have, yeah, at least the second one out. Second one is coming out, building another command center. Yeah, so sometimes I forget that I need to be working on macroing up. So I'll be building SCVs, but I won't be building command centers to expand to, or expand with. So this is a response to having extra minerals and building, needing desperately to expand at this point, and I should have expanded earlier than this. So this is my bad on that. Second armory, and as soon as that starport's done, you can expect a fusion core. But all our partner knows is about this right here, so he's probably thinking that maybe I'm going to be going for factory units. And he's got small little army of stalkers here. But the Void Rays at 5 minutes in was not expecting. I don't have battle cruisers even started yet. So I am running a little bit slow, comparatively. As well, how many, I only have 2, where the hell is my 3rd siege tank? Oh, here it is, yeah, okay, so I got 3 siege tanks, oh, sorry, 4. I got all 4, never mind. Yeah, so I got 4 siege tanks coming out over here. This one, you know, sitting idly by doing jack. Why does my Marine keep going back and forth? Anyway. So yeah. I should definitely have something to deal with air right now, and I do not, which is a big problem. You know, even with an engineering bay, I should have at least had, you know. Oh, okay, I do. So what's he doing? I do have a turret up, and he's got 2 Void Rays. So perhaps I should have scanned a second time. In fact, at 6 minutes is when I'm supposed to scan. But if I had scanned, I might not have caught these, because he's keeping them way in the back here. So yeah, he's sending out these 2 guys, and typically I have 2 turrets, so I don't know what happened. I must have chosen to only go 1 because, well, I really don't know. Getting that Yamato cannon retrofit, but at the same time, you know, not having any Marines. Yeah, I have 1 Marine. And this thing is just sitting up here doing jack. So only having the one Marine, this barracks up here, it's not enough to deal with these Void Rays. So, pulling my my workers away and just letting my siege tanks die. And what's he doing? So he's got 2 more Void Rays on the way. I'm like not even sure what to do about this. Where the hell is my barracks is still floating, and you know. Okay, so I'm seeing that I could have. Oh, there it is. Very late response, and I should have canceled. This battle cruiser. Look how long it's gonna take to get that battle cruiser out. I should have canceled it and started building Vikings. And then also, it might be useful to have a reactor as an option. So, what I can do in the future... Oh, well, let's just return to the game real quick. What I can do in the future is, instead of having my barracks float to see if there's anything over here for so long, I can drop it down, continue to pump out Marines, because I have the money to do so. Pump out Marines, and also have a reactor on here, so that if necessary I can stop battlecruiser production and drop it onto the reactor. So this game is a loss for me because I just didn't have anything to deal with for Void Rays at between 5 and 8 minutes into the game. So I'll have to keep that in mind. Do have another command center here, and he's only running off of 2 bases doing this. So this is a pretty strong move to do with only 2 bases. I mean, granted, he doesn't have that many Void Rays, but in the event that I was able to thwart his Void Rays, I feel like I would have he would have been in a pretty poor position. But anyway, let's move on to the next. So we'll quit the replay and take a look at what happened in the 4th game, so that we can understand actually mistakes that that the Protoss player made. So this is against a Jensen, one Jensen. He is a Protoss player, and we're going to be on Ephemeron LE. I'll be spawning here in the top left as the Terran, and immediately building that SCV. Same thing for him, building a probe. And yeah, nothing much to really talk about in this early game. Exact same thing. I've gotten so used to it. You can see I canceled that there because I don't know what it is, but when I build from bottom up instead of top down, I mess up my wall somehow, and my being able to close off ends up not working. So you know, for some reason I can do it this way, and so I do. Building his pylon and gateway close by, as opposed to last game where he came all the way down here and started building the wall there. He's building it here. So, I'm curious, does that allow you to have enough of a boost in minerals because you have them constantly working? He's got no idle probes anywhere over here. Does it give you a better economy to do that by any significant means? Got 2 probes on the extractor here, or sorry, assimilator, and is continuing his probe production as he should, building a gateway. So to me this looks like a standard opener, getting a cybernetics core, and it looks like he'll be expanding well within 2 minutes of the game here. Yep, fast expand. So that, to me, is not a bad opener. I mean, personally, I would have built at least 1 zealot, but without charge, if there was a Reaper Rush here, he'd probably be done, or just wouldn't have a whole lot to... He'd be suffering. Cybernetics core, so he would have a Stalker, at least. A Stalker to deal with it. So let's see. He's got that almost done. Or, well, I guess halfway done. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, there's the little bar. But anyway, building a second assimilator and doing all that research. I should have my factories coming out now. and building a second command center, which actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's the factory that should have come first and then the command center, but, you know, it doesn't matter that much. You know, one Marine to defend here with, and then as soon as this is done, we're going to be building siege tanks, as usual. I did scan, so I saw that he's got, you know, this tight base building over here. And now I'm going for that orbital command before I expand with it. I'm curious, should I expand and then orbital command, or orbital command and then expand? Swapping these guys out here so that I can get those siege tanks, accidentally building widow mines and now going for the siege tank.
Command center upgrade.
I mean, you know, if I had accidentally built widow mines, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but they certainly would not have the same DPM, I think. Or in the very least wouldn't be repetitive, and survivability is low. Building a second command center as soon as that one's finished. Trying to drop it down here. It takes me a little bit of time, but I do eventually notice that there's yeah, when I hear the unacceptable landing zone, I'm like, what could that mean? Or maybe I didn't. Okay, yeah, I totally didn't hear it and didn't think about it. Didn't see it. He's got stuff going on over there. Do now, and I'm like, oh shoot, this guy is proxying me. Let's take this tank down and deal with this from the high ground. So yeah, and then I'm gonna use my orbital command now to scout out those units, kill off the stalker, and I'm working now on that that pylon. He responds by building a second pylon, so when that thing is dead, he's still gonna be able to produce out of that. So yep, gonna try to use my barracks now to continue this scout. But seeing how he took that area, I now have to go to my natural.
Base is under attack.
So at this point, I'm like, well, I need to ramp up my economy, and I have no means to do it. You know, except for building a bunch of command centers. This may be too many command centers to have going at one point, but you know, I have the bank to do it, so it's like, why not? Look at my production here. Let's just zoom out. So orbital command center. We've got 2 armories, a supply depot, an engineering bay, another supply depot, and a starport. All of that production because I was not paying close enough attention to my base. Even just moving over here a hair to take a look at this, and you can see a glimmer coming over here. I bet that's yep, that is an observer. Yeah, so just even looking over here for a second takes away from my attention from my macro economy, and then recognizing that means I have to compensate for it. So usually, instead of a smooth flow of building SCVs and building command centers and supply depots, I have these bursts of production, and that, you know, that might be okay for Gold League, but I don't think it's going to work out for Platinum or Diamond. But anyway, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 command centers, 3 of which are orbital commands out, and I'm not. You know, I've got the bank, so I'm wondering, oh, okay, building a third starport. And then there should be a fusion core before this happens. There it is. There's the fusion core. Okay. And now building Thors, which have to walk around my entire base, so okay, that could be something I think about. Leaving an opening somewhere so that they can just walk around here. But anyway, I'm trying to defend against this position because I'm anticipating Colossi. and blink stalkers to just try and waltz their way up here. And this is okay as far as defense against this area too. But really, I want to. Well, first I should have more forces. Building one tank, you know, I should actually be building a lot more Thors, and so we do have another Thor coming out over here. You can see I put this guy into his payload mode. I forget what it's called, but high explosive payload, or high impact payload, I think. And now I'm trying to use these guys to defend with. And I also kind of want to bluff him too. I want him to think, oh man, look at all that production he's got. He must be building a whole bunch of crap. And you'll also notice, you know, where is his observer? He has all of the ability to go way past this point and see what I've got, but he sits right here. And you know, I've watched this before. This guy never moves this observer past into this base. And that's a huge problem, because he's not going to be able to see the potential that he has with his own army. He's not going to see that I've got nothing that to defend with. So this is to my advantage that he is not doing a good job scouting with this observer. And you can just build us another one if this thing dies. But I have no turrets here, and I have no vision, and at this point I'm not even aware that he's got an observer looking at me. So I'm trying to bluff actually with these liberators. I want him to think, you know, that's what I'm producing, but he never looks to see what that these buildings aren't actually building anything. So, you know, he pushes his observer back instead of looking further in, which is a huge mistake on his part, because this army just sits here and does nothing, and his army value is clearly stronger than mine. So, and in fact, we can even look at that. Yeah, so his army value is twice the minerals and a little bit more in gas. He's doing pretty okay. So at this point, I'm a dead player at this point. But he has done nothing to make that happen. You know, he's got some decent saturation at his base, a little over here. Working on his third. I am also working on my third, a little bit ahead of him in that area. You can see I've got 62 to 47. So and that worker count is increasing. So having that advantage in workers really shows in my economy. And you'll see in most of these matches, my economy is just great. It's a great economy, but at the expense of building units, and with no reason, because I can be building units at this point. I could be making a bunch of Marines, and more Thors or even Widow Mines would be great at this point, because they're not so gas heavy, and I can focus that gas into my battlecruiser production. But, you know, Jensen doesn't scout this. He doesn't scout what's going on. He has no idea at this point that there are battlecruisers waiting for him. He's only got one Void Ray. He's got a couple of Immortals, which, you know, are okay. And he's got some Colossi. And his Stalkers are up there. But I think at this point he needs to move, or the game is basically over for him. Because I'm getting two 2/2 upgrades on my ships and a weapon retrofit. I've got 3 battlecruisers on the way, with already 1 here. These Thors are in high impact mode, so they might be able to dish out some serious damage to these air units. But with all of this, I think he should be able to take my army. But it's very quickly becoming the battle is now. Yeah, I think at this point now, battle is basically in my favor. Yeah, this is the point where it turns at 11 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. And another huge problem, never scouts any of the other bases. I could have, you know, where do I have the minerals to build up this many? Oh, okay, so he does have some scouting here. What's going on? Where is up? There it is. He does see this. So how does he respond? By building more gateways? That's interesting. Maybe he wants to build more stalkers. He is constantly putting out Void Ray production, which is important against battlecruisers. He's got some cannons built up around his bases, a shield battery, well, I guess for his Nexus. He needs more cannons here, because that shield battery is doing dick. Going now for, yeah, even more gateways. So, okay, I guess the response to battle... Oh, nope. Stargates now. Okay. I feel like, I can understand getting warp gates if your response is with stalkers, and you know, obviously Stargate tech is nice, but yeah, getting the gateways, I'm not sure, because I'm not a Protoss player, if that was the best move. So he is warping in. Looks like more stuff over here. Warped in some High Templar, which are really great if they use storms on my units. But at this point, he needs to do a lot more scouting. He needs to figure out that I've got more bases to, because like where, you know, how on earth am I building up these battle cruisers? He's got to be thinking about that. Where are these coming from? You know, there's no way I'm building this up on 2 bases. This has got to be coming from more. And so you can see I'm taking my fifth base here, building it up into a planetary fortress to defend against anything. But you know, I've already nearly saturated my fourth base there. 3rd base is just about there. This is oversaturated. You know, I've got some pretty decent gas income right now. My gas income is, well, I guess compared to his is not too much better, but it's still, you know, for battlecruiser production, this is great because now, look, I'm sitting on 6 BCs, 7, 8, and he only has Stargate units. He only has a couple stalkers, and what am I clicking on? Some void rays. Oh, the Tempests. He's got a decent army to deal with what I've got, but does he have the upgrades? No. I've got 2-2, and he's sitting on 1 for air weapons. So this is not looking good for him. He, you know, never scouts these 3 bases. Doesn't know what's going on here. Look, I've got mule economy coming in. Filled in the gases with SCVs. I'm able to you know, just walk right by with my SCVs. Who knows where those came from? They probably came from way up here. Yeah, because see, I'm not oversaturated here anymore. Yeah, so he doesn't know that I'm able to walk right by through this area into this base that I've got going on over here. He's just moving his units back towards his base. I'm not really sure why. He removes his scout. I never find that he has a scout, so I don't know why he's moving back. Completely abandons this production stuff over here, and he leaves them at home. I assume he's thinking that maybe I'm going to send an army in here, but you know, you know, your guess is as good as mine. Then sends them back. Okay, so he's got them now towards the middle. Ah, yeah, you can see I pushed with Liberators just to get rid of that that supply, but in the, you know, I'm able to do some great damage with it regardless. So I've killed a bunch of probes there. Let's see. I killed, it looks like 11 probes just with that. And now he brings his army to this base to defend with, because maybe he thinks I'm going to come from this side. You know, at the same time, I haven't scouted him, but I do see this pylon here, and so I know he's got a base here. Or I'm pretty confident, anyway, that he's got a base here. So, it's at this point that I'm trying to find where the hell his army is. I've killed that forward little proxy robo facility, and now I'm running out with this massive army. And I see he's got a mothership. I see he's got void rays in there. I'm like, you know what? Let's make him run. So I jump into his base instead of home and start killing his production. And I kind of do the troll fly over here. So I fly over everything while I'm killing things. you can see just how much damage these 3-3 battlecruisers do. And he's rushing to, I just saw up here the armor and weapon upgrades. He's rushing to catch up. And now, Yamato cannons all over the place. Moving the battlecruisers in instead of away. And kill the mothership. And I'm confident I can throw these battlecruisers away because I have the gas, and that is the power of having production up the wazoo. So I throw these away. I should have, you know, started rebuilding my, yeah, I should have started building my battlecruisers a little bit more quickly, because I know he can now just turn this army around and try to come for my base. And you can even see that right at the end there, he does turn around. So if we look, he says, okay, I'm gonna counter you. I've got enough army. His production just got hit, so he's suffering. He's now trying to rebuild it because he knows the possibility of the game not ending is, well, it's a possibility. So he pulls his army over here. I do notice that he never did end up storming. He probably just forgot that he could have. Or did he turn them into Archons? I'm not sure. Does kill my SCVs as they try to come down the ramp, but never thinks, oh, where are those SCVs going? So he comes in here, and I'm shelling them from the high ground with my tanks. Don't have any weapon upgrades, so they don't do quite as much. He sees I've got my high-impact payload here really taking care of those Void Rays. I'm pulling my battlecruisers up, and then start Yamato cannoning, because that's, well, it's just a great weapon. And now all of this gets cleaned up, and they run away. I've got the battlecruisers to deal with it, and I see them running away faster than I can. So what do I do? I jump ahead of him, and I try to it was a misclick. I tried to go a little bit further straight, but I do catch these on their way back home. He's got nothing. And now let's look at it from my perspective. So I'm pushing with those, trying to build up all my my tech labs here so I can start building battlecruisers. I think I might have accidentally canceled all this production. Yeah, just so I can evenly spread it. And look just how many battlecruisers I can build at the same time. It's absurd. 10 battlecruisers. That's how much gas I've got sitting in the bank because of my 5 bases going on over here. I guess maybe now 4 with these gases going off. But yeah, I'm just casually wiping things away right off the map. And I'm thinking, oh, this is all his production, he's got to be GGing. But then I see these Void Rays, and I know that they came from somewhere. So I kill some of them with the Yamatos. I see more coming. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go straight to figure out where the hell are these Void Rays coming from. So I just move way out across the map, and I see no production. Where's this production coming from? Let's keep moving. Killing a lot. Look, you can see he's got a, he's got an observer following, or 2 of them following me. But yep, once I see that the production's here, I'm like, okay, now I know where it is. And I'm okay to just throw my BCs away because I have the production. And now from his perspective, let's see. He does notice that I've got bases over here, and it's probably at this point he's like, oh, I messed up. And he has to go all the way across the map to build. And he sees I jump in over here with my other battle cruisers that I had waiting at home, because this is where the production is. So you'll notice instead, let's just come back over here a little hair. Well, we'll try there. So yeah, from my perspective now, when I see that his production is over here, I know that this is the next place that I want to hit. At this point, I should be bringing up more battlecruisers into production, which I do. Another 10. Another 10 battle cruisers being built. And I warp them in right at the back of his production. I'm like, I'm not letting anybody, I am not letting this army build up. And you can see I'm no longer focusing on economy. You know, I should, let's see, I should be building up, you know, maybe another planetary fortress or something just to defend against whatever may come this way. I should be building, you know, more supply depots just for the sake of it, more planetary fortresses. And what I can be doing with this huge bank of minerals, I can be building barracks, so that when I inevitably run out of gas, I can macro up a huge bio army to finish the job. I should be getting more upgrades from the engineering bay. And then, you know, when all is said and done, you know, not only should I be continuing my expanse through the north and the northwest, I should also have factories starting to be produced so that I can switch between any tech at any point to really, really make him feel the pressure of macro economy, macro management. But anyway, as you can see here, there's two, maybe three major disadvantages that my enemy had that were his own doing. Number one, the scouting. He, you know, at this point, so late in the game, it took him so late to find out that I had bases here that he could have dealt with and prevented this from happening. Second thing, worker count. I mean, we can look back a little bit further back. Well, maybe not. Anyway, you get the picture. We saw it earlier in the game. Let's go way back, you know, earlier, 65 to 49. I've got basically a whole base worth extra workers that he does not. And that is a major economic disadvantage. So that's two things. And then the third thing is production. So while he's running on these, I mean, well, let's see, how much do I have over here? I guess I don't have that much, but at the same time, you know, he should be producing a lot more. And he doesn't respond with the right buildings, I feel. I feel like he just tries to go for more warp gates, which ultimately does not end in his favor. Yeah, I feel like there was something else I wanted to say about his about what he did wrong. But basically, biggest thing was the scouting and the economy. Yep. Alright, well, that's it for the games that I played today, or yesterday, or whenever the heck these were. I hope you enjoyed.